And you look at what kind of the world we're in today. There's a lot of companies that are selling out to private equity groups or bringing in dollars from outside of our state or from across the country, and that's not our goal. Our goal is not to build this up and sell it. Our goal is continue to grow it and, again, provide opportunities for the people within it, not so we can turn around and let somebody else take over someday. The thing that we found with it is a little more expensive than like a pre-engineered metal building, but the labor to put it up is a lot faster. Our guys on average will set 20 to 22 panels a day. And so if you think about how many panels are in a building, in a office the size of ours, 25,000 square feet, we had the panels up in less than a week. The whole building was structurally sitting there.
So tell me what you see in the construction industry that were challenges with some of our... Welcome back to Two Bs in a Podcast, Beyond the Blueprint. I know every big project takes a plan, takes a framework and timing. Today, we're going to see what it takes to create a plan for multiple companies. We're going to look at the other companies that are under the Jans umbrella, and I'm here with my brother Brian Jans to tell you a little bit more about them.
Yeah, welcome. Hopefully, we'll be able to talk about some exciting things of what's transpired over the last 10 years.
So tell me what you see in the construction industry that were challenges with some of our own self-performing in-house crews and where you saw an opportunity to branch out.
Sure. Well, when our dad, started Jans Corporation, we had a lot of our own self-performing crews. I think you've talked about it. I have, that we grew up doing all of those things. We worked on the concrete crew. We worked with the steel erection crews. We had great carpenters that did finish and rough carpentry work. And so that's always been a part of us. We've always had that internally. And it all started probably about 10 years ago or so when those crews were growing and getting bigger, and we're going after some other work outside of the Jans Corporation walls. And so the decision was made about that time to break two of our companies out from internally to be their own entities. And we did it for several reasons. One was because of opportunity. We wanted to be able to have them do work outside of the Jans Corp wall and do work for other general contractors. Secondly, we want to create opportunities for employees. They can kind of be in charge of their own destiny, so to speak. So if the concrete division's doing well, but the steel division isn't, we've always tried to have the motto that when the tide rises, all boats ride with it, or all rise with it. And so in this scenario, they're more responsible for their own destiny, their own profitability, and their own ability to go find additional work. It did help to break out to separate names, to give them a little distance from Jans Corporation. That's our intent. And so even though they're treated as separate entities, they're still part of the family, and we still work together in a lot of ways, and work with each other on a lot of projects. But we also go our separate ways, and we have other subcontractors that do what they do on our projects, and they work for other general contractors. And we don't get intermixed with how those projects are going or doing.
So maybe if we'll just touch on each one, and you can explain a little bit about what they do, what their process is, and how they came to be. If we start with the Urban Woodshop, what can you tell us about them?
Sure. Yeah. So Urban Woodshop is a company that does commercial cabinetry and some custom millwork, things that they provide. If it has to do with either of those things, cabinetry or millwork, those guys can pretty much do it. They've got some pretty extensive equipment that allows them to do a lot of things. It started actually when we bought a different cabinet shop, probably about 15 or 16 years ago. We had partnered with somebody and bought her operation out. And part of that was just because we didn't have a better option. There was a particular subcontractor in town that was lowballing every bid. And so we were kind of forced to use them. And when they would show up on the job, quality wasn't there. They couldn't meet our schedules. And then change orders just kind of happened out of nowhere, and we were stuck because we were already, halfway through the project when we needed cabinets, and we were kind of stuck. So we just said, we'd like to control that ourselves and be a little bit more involved in that process from beginning to end. And so we bought that shop and brought them in under the Jans Corporation name and started performing our own cabinetry making under that. And then it turned out that on a project, we got a call from one of our competitors. I won't say their name, but they needed some additional support on a project. They were probably using the old subcontractor that we were having issues with, and things weren't going well. And so I got the phone call and said, "Hey, does your team have capacity to help?" And we said, "Sure, absolutely. We'd love to help." They actually can fit that into their schedule right now. And they said, "Great. We're excited to have them out here. However, they can't drive any Jans Corporation vans. They can't wear a Jans Corporation hat, and they can't have any Jans Corp t-shirts on because we don't want our owner to know your company is here helping us." And so we made that concession, and we downplayed all our guys and had them drive unmarked vehicles and got that job done. And we thought it was a great result. And so that kind of started getting us thinking that, maybe there's an opportunity there that doesn't have to have my name tied to it or our name tied to it if we change it to its own true entity. So that was how Urban Woodshop was formed. They're obviously do a lot of city work with an that urban feel to it, but it's still kind of old school wood shop working. We have a crew that is long in the field. They've been experienced in cabinet making most of their careers, and just a ton of knowledge and experience on doing it the old fashioned way. And then we've tied in new technology to improve quality and efficiencies and make things faster and smoother.
So I know I'm pretty aware of they have a 6-head molder, and I don't know how many knives, but for custom moldings from base and casing around windows and doors to crown moldings, I mean, they can make about anything, and they have the ability to make their own knives if they need to match something.
Yeah, if you want to remodel a house you bought that's 150 years old, you can bring a piece of that base in and we can match it exactly.
And then I'm aware that they have a pretty high-end window line that they represent.
Correct. Yep. So they do carry Colby and Colby windows. They carry that line. And so they're more of a residential style window. They do have a commercial line as well too. And so we feel that's a real high quality window that we've had a lot of success with in a lot of our projects. And so we continue to represent that company and sell those windows through Urban Woodshop.
Sure. Well, let's talk, moving on a little bit. What can you tell me about BluArc? The name alone is, it just kind of gets me.
Sure. So BluArc is our steel and precast erection company. Again, we have always had a steel and precast crew inside of Jans Corporation. We've always had cranes. We used to have a guy named Dan Kilbride. I know you remember that name very well. He was a wild man, and he was our foreman for our steel crew. And they were always just one of the hardest working groups. Always just got things done safely. That's a very dangerous line of work, and they always performed excellent on that to do it very efficiently and safe at the same time. And so that was another easy one to think, hey, there's a lot of work out there. There's not a lot of competition in this market that does it independently. That's not union. And so we pushed to break out this separate company. We found a guy named Adam Struck who has a wealth of knowledge in the precast world, and he's been managing that company and just taking them to the next level as well. We're currently in the process of looking at what's the next crane we're going to buy to be more versatile, and we're always trying to find good iron workers to come join the team as well too.
Yeah, that seems like something just in the last, I would say, 5 to 10 years, the amount of buildings that we've built where precast is actually now just as much of a price competitive option as what formerly a steel building would have been considerably less money to build. And a lot of that, I think, is due to our ability to erect it. And I think it's a testament that there's a niche market there that we were able to capitalize on.
Certainly, yeah, there's a lot of options to look at when determining what type of building you want to go with. Our office is built out of precast. The thing that we found with it is a little more expensive than like a pre-engineered metal building, but the labor to put it up is a lot faster. Our guys, on average, will set 20 to 22 panels a day. And so if you think about how many panels are in a building, in a office the size of ours, 25,000 square feet, we had the panels up in less than a week. The whole building was structurally sitting there. But the bigger thing we look at is just efficiency of operation too. They're very well insulated. They don't creak and groan in the wind. They're very stable and efficient until your heating electrical bills seem to be advantageous that way too.
So I know this is the part where the conversation gets hard. Pun intended, we're going to talk about concrete. What can you tell me about CSU?
Yeah, that stands for Concrete Solutions Unlimited. And again, we have had a concrete crew or crews within Jans Corporation since I can remember. Ran a wheelbarrow and trucked a lot of mud. That never got to be the finisher. They never let me, put the final rub down on the concrete. That was not my expertise. I didn't even get to ride the riding trowel or the finisher. So the same kind of scenario there with our concrete. We had some issues with some subcontractors that we were using, and the concrete is one of the first things that you put into the ground. Once the ground's moved, you're pouring the foundations and getting that base down, and that's an important part of how the rest of the building's going to go. Getting things put in the right spot, anchor bolts, getting walls lined up and true. And so again, we wanted to help control the quality and the efficiency of that work. And so started Concrete Solutions Unlimited the same time as we started Urban Woodshop. They're all taught the same way, treated the same way. They all run kind of their own operations. They work for other general contractors. And again, we work with other concrete companies. There are certain projects we get competitive numbers on all the work that we do. And so we're always looking for who can do the best job at that time. There's no guarantees for any of us that we're all going to work together on a specific project, because we owe it to our customers to make sure they're getting the best value as well too. So that's Concrete Solutions.
And they recently purchased a pretty sexy piece of equipment. Can you tell us about that?
They did. We're looking to kind of expand our horizons. Currently we do a little bit of foundation walls and footings and foundation work. Primarily we're into the slabs, the exterior paving and floor paving. But we did buy a curb and gutter machine. That will speed that process up considerably. There's only a few of them in town. And again, just thought that the opportunity was right to get into that market. And we've got some development work coming up. So know that we're going to put that machine to good use.
Yeah, I would think the way Sioux Falls is growing, new residential developments, new commercial developments, there's definitely going to be a need for a curb and gutter machine. So let's talk a little bit about the new kid on the block. There's one company that's new as of this year. And once again, looking at what our in-house capabilities were, it kind of spawned an opportunity where some subcontractors maybe had a need on the financial side of things. Do you want to talk about that?
I would love to. Absolutely. So the company you're referring to is called Creative Construction Partners. And as we went through looking at our mission statement and our core values for Jans Corporation, we always kind of figured what was our niche, what set us apart. And that's what we came up with. We are a creative construction partner. We've never built the same building twice. And we've always looked at creative ways to make projects happen for our customers. It's not just about bidding on a job and then starting it. We talk about financing, or we've bought other people's buildings when they couldn't sell them. We've done just creative things. So when that name popped up, it fit for what this next company was going to do. So they started just May, but as we've grown as Jans Corporation and developed into having more needs within our administrative side of things, we have a strong finance and accounting department with our CFO, our controller, and 2 staff accountants. We have a tremendous HR department with our director of HR. We have great operations manager, and then we have a full-time safety director. And then we also have a marketing person that does our online digital marketing. And so with those services, we invested a lot in those people, and they're doing that work for 5 companies. And so as we got them set up and put processes in place, we realized that some of the people that we work with in our industry have some of those needs as well, but maybe aren't set up to have a full-time CFO or a full-time CFO and controller, or maybe they're only working with a staff accountant at this time. And so we thought, hey, we've already got the processes down. We know how this works. How can we help? Can we bring them on as a client and handle some of those finance and accounting aspects of their business? Can we bring them our safety director to help create safety manuals, do safety inspections, making sure they're OSHA compliant and fitting the needs of the contractors they're working for? HR side of things too, writing company policies, staying within that construction industry that has some very specific needs within it. And then also on the marketing side of things as well. So we're just branching that out. We think it's a win for everybody because you're getting expert level advice and experience at a fraction of the cost. It's just a monthly fee that we charge for, depending on the services we provide. And it goes everywhere through, providing monthly financial statements. It also is on accounts receivable, where we go out and track down those guys that aren't paying their bills and get that money paid, so that the owner of the company doesn't have to be the bad guy to his customers, because he still has to work for them. And so it's created a great opportunity for us to step in and kind of help support that without, and then taking some of that burden off. Sometimes these are people that are sole proprietors. They started this business because they loved what they did, and maybe they're getting a little frustrated that they've got to deal with the financial aspects of it. It's not their background, it's not their experience, and so they could use a little bit of help from an expert and a separate set of eyes that they're not paying a full salary for. And so it's been very helpful so far. We've brought a few people on that's really worked for, and it's just they've all fit into that mode of the construction world and getting them more efficient and effective. And then me personally, I stay away from that. When we bring on a client, I don't get involved unless they ask me to. It's not my job to be involved and see inside the books of other companies.
I know from the project management side, which I was in, I can attest to some of the other current project managers when they might have a frustration with either an incomplete invoice, an invoice that comes in really late. I know there was one that I still got a handwritten invoice. Sometimes there were mathematical errors. Sometimes I couldn't read what he wrote down. So in a sense, we're helping some of our clients, which in turn helps us, makes the process smoother. So I think that Creative Construction Partners is truly one of those win-win situations where we can help other businesses be more efficient. They're great at what they do, just let them do that. And not everybody has the time or the wherewithal, like you said, to have the kind of staff that we do. And if we can assist them in some of their challenges, it's a win for everybody.
Agree with you 100%. That was not our intent, was to help ourselves. We really, truly wanted to provide that service. It did just become a exceptional byproduct that by helping them, it does help our jobs run smoother too. And so that has been a nice surprise of getting that started. One of the stories that we like to tell, one of the first clients we brought on was still writing paper checks for their employees. And the owner had to drive around and hand deliver those on a Friday afternoon, had to track people down. Even if they weren't on the job site, had to figure out where they were at so that they got paid that. And we first asked, would you ever consider direct deposit? And they said, well, good luck. My people don't want that. They're not interested. We got all of their team within the first week on to direct deposit. We had one person who didn't have a bank account, and so we have a prepaid debit card that it goes direct to them. That owner has saved hours of time every week from not having to drive around. He gets to drive around, but now he brings my favorite donuts to him instead of paychecks.
Absolutely. So there's one other company. It kind of started outside of our walls. It wasn't formed with our own internal people like the others. And this company had been around for several years, a guy in town that was an architect. And maybe you can tell a little bit about how, as Dale mentioned in his episode, getting away from the hard bid market, doing design build work, to take on the role of whether it's an in-house draftsperson, if it's the engineering side, the design side. Tell us a little bit about RSA.
Yeah, you bet. Maybe it's time to talk about the elephant in the room, so to speak. About 7 or 8 years ago, Gary Stanley had started RSA. Well, he started RSA a little over 30 years ago, an architect company in Sioux Falls that has done any type of project in their 30 years of history. And when he got towards the end of his career, wanting to retire, he didn't really have a succession plan in place. And so we had done a lot of work with them over the time of Dale and Gary being close friends, and just a lot of projects we had completed. And so he came to us and said, "Would you have any interest in taking over?" And it was a tough subject because we're a little bit of different industries, design and construction, and we do work with a lot of each other's competitors. We work with a lot of other architect firms. They work with a lot of general contractors. And so we know there's going to be some pull there of how do we best handle this to not create turmoil for each other. And so we've tried to handle that as delicately as possible. It was no secret that Jans Corporation and RSA worked together on a lot of projects, but this was going to maybe bring that even to a bigger question. So I got involved at that time with Gary, purchased the company from him, and I tried to make it as quiet as possible. I didn't want my name associated with their company. I wanted to let them continue to function as they had. I just wanted to be involved in some of the day-to-day operations, making sure they had the tools that they needed to go out and perform the same excellent work that they always had. And so I think we've managed to do that. But obviously, word has gotten out. There's been conversations about, so I want to just kind of clear the air about that yes, I have some involvement with that. But again, when they do work with other general contractors, I don't get involved in those projects. When we work with other architects, I'm not sharing any of our information that we see with them. We've worked really well as a family, but again, we're very separate. As you look at, just different kids within a family, it's kind of like that feel. You don't know everything that they're doing in between each other, but we're trying to keep a pulse on things and find out ways we can work better, and that even helps us improve when we work outside of our own walls too.
Mm-hmm. So as you've seen the evolution of these multiple companies, what do you see as some of the challenges that maintaining those values that you talked about?
Sure. So, I've mentioned a couple of times we've gone through the EOS path, and a big proponent of EOS is your core values. And I think Dale mentioned it in our last episode that, core values are really his, and that kind of bled through him. And that's probably our main principle, is that the core values are who we are as people. And so those get passed through the companies as well too. And so we're all kind of living off of that same mindset and same culture, that this is what's important to us as a business. And that's part of what we've tried to maybe push down on the companies that are related to Jans, is that we're a professional organization, and we don't want to be like maybe others in our subcontractor world, competitors, because we feel we maybe were a little more sophisticated in how we were developed, and through knowing that process a little bit more of the general contractor side and being born out of that has helped us to maybe step up our level a little bit more.
So I know one of the things too, on prior projects, when we would be putting together numbers, we would have those entities that used to be under our roof give us the pricing, and that was our pricing we went into a project with. Now, where they're competitively bidding, not just to us, but to some of our competitors, we also have the opportunity to get multiple bids. It helps them be competitive. It helps us be competitive. Where would you say in the next 5 to 10 years, growth with what our city's doing for each of these companies?
Oh, I think the opportunities are tremendous. Again, it's probably more so just that the workforce is diminishing, especially in the trades, and that's the tough part. There's not a lot of people that go to ironwork school because there really isn't an ironwork school, even with concrete. Um, SDSU just created a concrete plant management division. They don't have a concrete finishing division, and so we have to do a lot of our training in house and in on the job site. And so there's opportunities for a lot of people in that field because those elements of a project are still going to be needed. And as our community continues to grow, I mean, I think we're growing at an exponential rate now. It's not just a steady growth. It's going to be bigger and bigger chunks as the economy allows. We're going to continue to expand that those are going to be needed in bigger volume. And so there's certainly opportunity for the companies as a whole, but also for the individuals within those companies to succeed and have growth opportunities within them as well. And that's truly, my reason behind breaking out separate companies is truly providing opportunities for other people. Again, like I mentioned, to be kind of in charge of their own destiny, to enjoy their own successes and not be a part of having to know what somebody else accomplished. It's really what they accomplished, including on the creative construction partner side. Typically those services that they provide are looked at as overhead. And so everybody said, well, you're just an expense. You're just overhead. Well, now they are truly making their own profit center by performing this work for multiple companies and getting paid to do that work.
Sure. So, as you've mentioned the word opportunity in multiple podcasts, are there any other opportunities out there that you're kind of keeping your ears open for? Or?
Sure. Yeah, we always are. I mean, there's nothing specific. We've been in numerous conversations about, what other elements we could bring into the family of businesses. And we've had some conversations about that, and we've looked at some opportunities. We're always open to those conversations. We're always looking to expand and grow our offering and what we can do. So, if somebody's out there that, is feeling the grind of the business that they've been in and want to talk about an opportunity to say, hey, maybe this makes sense to become, a part of what you're doing, we're open for those conversations. I think that's exciting. You look at what kind of the world we're in today. There's a lot of companies that are selling out to private equity groups or bringing in dollars from outside of our state or from across the country. And that's not our goal. Our goal is not to build this up and sell it. Our goal is continue to grow it and, again, provide opportunities for the people within it, not so we can turn around and let somebody else take over someday.
So how does it actually work when you work with those other companies?
So I know that's probably the biggest question out there, and rightfully so. I would have that as well too. If I know one of my competitors owns a subcontractor, there's that immediate feel of like, why would I work with them? Hopefully, our reputation stands up. That shows that we are truly, one of our core values again is honesty. We're a very honest company. We don't share insider information. We've never been one to bid rig or to, have negotiating conversations. I think if you asked a lot of subcontractors, if they call us after a bid and ask where their numbers are, we tell them. We say, hey, this is where it was at. We're very honest and transparent that way. And so hopefully people recognize that we're just, truly trying to provide the best services out there. It's not an internal ploy to take advantage of anyone or to pull away from anybody else. And so that's really the goal behind it. And because of that, I think we've been respected for that and are known for that. It's been easy to create those partnerships.
So as we're working with clients of our own, what does it mean from an advantage to the owner that we're representing, that we have these additional companies at our resource?
Sure. That's a great question. We competitively bid the scopes of work. Like I said, our own companies will competitively bid against their competitors to our projects. And so they don't get all of our work. We work with other concrete companies and cabinet shops. And one of the advantages to that is, for whatever reason, things happen on construction sites. If one of our subcontractors isn't able to perform or to meet the schedule, we have resources available to come in and support them. And so if they say, well, there's an issue, we can't get here, well, we can negotiate with them, work with them to bring our crew in to get it back on track or to work beside them. We have a lot of partners that are competitors that we work side by side with. And I think that's advantageous to the owner to keep not only their schedule for their needs of their project, but also that competitiveness that, we know we can get it done without having to go through a rough change order process or gouging them that some subcontractors may try to do.
Sure. So for anyone listening, what does this mean?
Sure. I think what it means is, with our family of companies, we're very versatile. We can do a lot of different things. So maybe sometimes people think about Jans Corporation as just building large warehouse commercial buildings, but we do small remodel projects. We'll go in and do tenant build outs. We're actually licensed to do residential work. We build 1 or 2 homes a year. We do residential developments. So we're very broad in what we can do on the Jans Corporation side. We can meet a lot of people in that arena. But same on the concrete side. We can pour a large parking lot. We can also rip out your driveway and replace it if you need it. You get that nasty letter from the city that says, I've got 3 chunks of sidewalk gone. Yep, we can take care of that. You got a cabinet door in your house that broke. We can fix that. You want a unique wooden table made that you've got an idea in your head. We can get that built as well too. You get a cat and it's stuck in a tree. Our crane can come lift that thing out. We'll, as a matter of fact, we have lifted rhinos out of the zoo before with our crane.
Yeah.
We've done it twice. So I say that in joke, but we actually have done that. And then on the design side, if you've got a house that you're looking to build your dream house, we can draw that up just as well as your manufacturing facility, your medical facility. We can put the design and effort, which we now do engineering as well too. We have a civil engineering department within RSA. So even laying out developments, that's in our wheelhouse. And then on the creative construction partner side, if you're looking for anybody just to help get your payroll done, we can do that. If you want to take on your full finance and accounting piece of your business, it doesn't have to be in the construction industry. That's just what we know, but we know that construction and accounting is one of the most difficult ones out there. We can get that done. We can probably handle just about anything.
Yeah, I think one note would be if your tax professional has ever told you you really need to get this stuff in order, we should probably have a conversation.
Your tax professional may already know us already. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us for this episode of 2 Bees in a Podcast. I'm Brad Jans, and this is Behind the Blueprint.
I'm Brian Jans. Thanks again for stopping in. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. If you've got some ideas of what you want to hear from 2 construction guys, we'd be happy to tackle that next.
And if you do have any needs with any of those companies that Brian mentioned, please reach out. We're happy to take a look.